One.
Hi, this is Andy Summers of The Police, and you're listening to Ray Shasser on Interviewing the Legends.
Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Rockstar Chronicles, Series 1, my new book featuring over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest music legends the world will ever know, available now at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. Andy Summers is most known as a member of one of the most influential and acclaimed acts in musical history, The Police, with a catalog that has sold more than 75 million records worldwide and spawned multiple chart toppers, including Every Breath You Take, Can't Stand Losing You, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, just to name a few, as well as 4 of their 5 studio albums, making Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. The Police continue to be one of the most important musical acts of all time. Summers is a 5-time Grammy winner and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer inductee, and has spent the past 5 decades performing live to audiences across the globe. Summers has released multiple solo projects in recent years, as well as collaborations with John Etheridge, Robert Fripp, Fernanda Takai, Verdery, and Victor Biglione. In 2007, the Police reunited for a 14-month global tour, becoming the 3rd highest grossing tour of all time. In recent years, Summers has become a noted author, including the 2006 release of his memoir, One Train Later, the inspiration of his 2012 documentary film, Can't Stand Losing You, Surviving the Police. Summers also found sanctuary behind the lens as a noted photographer who specializes in capturing a mood, an expression, or a location in striking black and white. And he has a new book of short stories out entitled Fretted Moaning, Short Stories, and will be releasing a new album in October entitled Harmonics of the Night. Please welcome musician, vocalist, composer, photographer, author, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and best known as lead guitarist for The Police, Andy Summers, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Andy.
Hi, I want to meet that guy.
It's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, it sounds good when you read it out like that. Where does all that energy come from?
Last time we chatted, it was for the release of Circus Hero. You were in Circus Zero band. I think it was around 2014.
That's right.
So it's been a while. I want to talk about your new book, Fretted Moaning. Okay. But I am super impressed. Now, this is the first time I heard your last 2 solo albums, Metal Dog, and is it Triboluminescence? Is that how you pronounce it?
Triboluminescence.
Triboluminescence. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, man, Triboluminescence is just as good or better than anything Jeff Beck has done. And I mean that sincerely.
Well, I would totally agree with you.
It's a brilliant album.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I've got another one coming up soon.
Well, that's why I mentioned it, because the new album's coming out, and now I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. I mean, these 3. As I've done a little bit. Well, actually, I've done a lot of talking interviews recently, all about the book. But of course, we get into recordings and all that, and so people seem to be thinking this is the 3rd of a trilogy. Maybe I started that, where I've made these albums alone and played all the instruments and done it. I've done this will be the 3rd one, but I'm thinking of maybe after this I'm going to break out and get an incredible bass player and drummer probably, and do it live in the studio, sort of take a slightly different tack than these very sort of painterly albums, if you like.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the album. Is incredible, man. If anything, Shadyland totally blew me away. It's pure genius.
Oh, thank you.
Help from Jupiter, the title track, Triboluminescence.
Yeah.
And of course, the album before that, Metal Dog, the title track of that is fantastic.
Yeah.
You should get a lot more press out of these 2 albums.
Well, one tries. Yeah, I thought they were all great albums. I mean, a lot of time and effort and feeling and soul goes into making these records. But I enjoy the process, but they're instrumental records, that they're pretty sophisticated. They're not like middle brow taste necessarily, and they're not rock songs in the obvious sense. These are sort of advanced, sophisticated records. They fall where they do, but that's who I am. That's what I feel I have to express.
Well, all my tastes are, my taste is Jeff Beck, Diamond Dust, Cause We've Ended as Friends, King Crimson, Starless, Billy Cobham, Spectrum, Baja Vishnu, anything Pink Floyd. And this album, to me, it's King Crimson, Jeff Beck. It's ambient, it's psychedelic from your psychedelic roots. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, spread the word.
I am.
You are actually right now.
I'm going to promote the hell out of it, man.
Well, good. I like that. This is good.
Can you talk a little bit about the new album coming out?
Well, yeah, I guess in a way it's a sort of logical extension of the ones before. Different, it's just different musics. The first track, though, it's interesting to talk about because originally it was a 20-minute guitar solo improvisation. I got a guitar effects pedal that was particularly inspiring to me. And I was in a situation where I was about to do a few months long retrospective photography exhibition in Montpellier in France. This was the one time when I went to the building actually before the show, and I was in Europe, and I went to Montpellier and took a look at the beautiful 18th century building. And I actually had the wherewithal this time to think, let me do some music that goes with a show that plays on a loop all the time, the photography song. So it creates a vibe, an atmosphere. And, just as luck would have it, I came back to LA and I was sent this beautiful little pedal with a particular sound on it. And I started playing it and I thought, oh man, this is kind of inspiring. I said to the engineer, run the tape. I'm ready. I want to right now. And so that's where the album started. It started from this kind of ethereal, kind of almost meditative, trance-like piece that I improvised through using this sound. We used it as the loop in the museum. And then I split it into two pieces because it was 20 minutes long.
Right.
That was the inspiring, piece that, got this album going. And I sort of composed outwards from that. In some ways, I think this album is more almost like chamber pieces, possibly. I mean, there are guitar solos, of course, and there's usually a section that I leave open and then improvise a solo. Obviously, I'm an improviser. So these are very composed pieces. Yeah.
You're talking about A Certain Strangeness, right? The opening track, which you were.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am. I mean, I look forward to this album like I do a new Pink Floyd album.
Oh, lovely. Well, I really appreciate you saying that, Ray.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, great.
Well, the album's called Harmonics of the Night, and I think it'll be released in October sometime, right? Is that
going to be out? Yeah, it'll be on Amazon, no doubt.
Definitely on Amazon. Yeah, I recommend it highly, and I recommend everybody to go on YouTube and check out your previous two albums, which I'm telling you, it's if you love the music of Jeff Beck, early Jeff Beck, some King Crimson, it's incredible. It's fantastic music, and you do all the instruments yourself, which is unbelievable. Yeah,
I do. I like that sort of one-on-one. I have a close relationship with my engineer, and my studio in LA, so I'm very comfortable in there. And I have my guitars and bits and pieces, devices, pedals, and all that. So it's a very good working environment for me, and so I feel very, relaxed that I can do whatever there, and so I take the time to do it. And in fact, now that this one is sort of, well, I wouldn't say behind me because we're just coming up to its release. Although this is the longest gap I've ever had in, between records, partly because of the pandemic and everything. It's such a strange time. So this one really got delayed. But personally, I'm ready to get in there and start making another one. But I was also concerned with the book because that was quite a production to put the whole book together. And this is a slightly new venture, being a collection of fiction that I wrote over a few years and put together. So I'm promoting that as well at the same time.
Well, Fretted Moaning, short stories.
Yeah.
There's three different ways you can buy this book. Classic, which is basic, I guess, with 45 short stories, 288 pages on hardcover. There's a signature series, which is a signed book, plus a stamped Andy Summers photographic print included. And then, of course, the Ultimate series, signed and numbered book in a bespoke box, plus a signed and numbered print by you.
Yeah.
What else is in the Ultimate series? What is that?
Well, yeah, they got these two very nice hardbound in a slipcase. They're very classy with photographs signed, personally signed and all that. And then the one that's out now, I mean, I think those you had to order directly from the company. The one that's going to be on Amazon is the beautiful looking hardback, which I just got a box of finally. And I think ultimately, well, it's not the ultimate one, but later in the whole thing, they possibly issue a softback.
Right.
So anyway, I'm very pleased. The people have been great to work with. We've had great reviews, and you do something like this, and kind of hold your breath and see where it's going to go, and if people are interested. But we never seem to have much difficulty in getting people interested to talk.
I'm an author as well, and I understand the process.
Yeah, lovely. Right, so you're familiar with it.
How long did it take you to write?
Well, I did it in the beginning. Because I seem to always be writing. Obviously, I wrote the autobiography, which had a lot of success, and in fact was turned into a movie.
Exactly.
And I felt like we did well, but then I've had other photography books. The one that went with the museum shows in Europe was, at least 30 or 40 page essay. It was like I wrote another book there about all that. And I have to write all the time. There's so many requests. I'm very used to kind of working as a writer. The stories started around sort of 2011, 2012. Whoa!
What was that?
Modern life, what can you say? These things. And I had a few, and I thought, oh, that's fun. I think I wrote like the Cleveland incident. I read a few, and I started sort of dabbling with it, sent them out. A few people read them and went, oh, he's a great man, you should write more.
Right.
So eventually I did, and I sort of started to do a bit more of it. Then I performed a couple of them live on stage around 2017, and the response was so good. I just sort of went, finally, because it was sort of lurking in my mind.
Yeah.
Let's do this, and I had, maybe 50 notes on like ideas, short stories that all involved a guitar somehow, which is an important thing to talk about. Every story in the book has a guitar in it, which is why it's called Fretted Moaning. But the book is not really about guitars or guitar playing. It's more about the way people's lives fall apart around the guitar, if you like. So that's the theme of it. But I kept going, and then by about 2018 I had all these stories in place, and then had 18, 19, and then had to kind of get somebody to help me handle it all, and here we are, in fact.
Well, they say the way to become a writer, or at least in the beginning, is to write about something but you have a great imagination, man. This is off the charts stuff. It's incredible. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do have a good imagination. I'm a complete avid book reader. I've been since like 3. I'm totally into literature and everything. So I'm always reading. 1 to another. It's always been like that for me. So I sort of have a lot of information. And I'm aware of very sort of hip modern story writing, particularly in the US, which I think it's better over here than it is in the UK, for instance. So I've as far as any of this goes, obviously one reads all the great stuff, the classics and all that. And then the American writers, and then, you know, sort of hip contemporary short story writing. So I'm
Right.
pretty much into this world. So it was not so difficult for me to write. Well, of course, there is the act of writing good prose and constructing very good sentences and have the narrative mean something. So yeah, you know, I'm into it, if you like. You know, I find it very similar in some ways to making records,
Right.
creating a musical composition, phrasing. I expect what I'm looking for in, you know, prose writing, you know, is a sort of quality of music, the writing itself. And I find that I'm attracted to writers who can write like that, how to turn a word, how to turn a sentence around on top of itself, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, you know, writers always say it's hard to write dialogue. It's not easy, and you've done it. You know, when you write conversations between two people in a book, you know.
Yeah, it is hard. People get it wrong. I usually get out, walk around the room and shout things. You know, but of course I've been privy in particular life that I've led of being, you know, witness to some pretty crazy conversations, as you might imagine as a musician. The things you hear backstage and in dressing rooms and all the rest of it, you know, some that we can't even repeat here, I would venture.
I want to read just a couple little excerpts from the book, just so people know where you're coming from here. Thirsty gave up his job at the One Hung Low laundromat, and I stopped being a waitress at the vomitorium.
Yeah.
Yeah, only Eddie Summers could come up with that.
Yeah, well, you know, one has to have fun. You're going to do this. And I mean, these are all, you know, when we should say here, I mean, these are all supposed to be funny stories. They're comic, you know, right. They've got some sort of tragic, you know, well, that's life endings.
Sure.
But that's, you know, that's the way I see it. I mean, the idea of them basically is that they are sort of funny, even if it's a sort of a dark humor. They're not like straight, you know, boring kind of technical story.
Not at all.
They're comic tales. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of short stories because there's not a lot of fluff. I hate authors that put fluff in books. Just boring, you know, and it's like, get to the point, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Well, that's certainly where the short story comes in. And of course, that's an art to yourself, because you have to take a sort of a different approach than if you're writing a novel where you can really stretch out. But yeah, I'm a short story fan too. Yeah, absolutely.
I like how you implanted the Beatles with the Come Together Escort Agency.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're sitting around like banging your head on your laptop, wondering if these crazy things come to mind. Somewhere that one came up. And, thinking back about it.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
I love the book. The book is awesome. Are you going to continue with the short story?
Maybe, you know, I've actually just written, you know, talking about writing, I've just written a screenplay. And
really?
I think it's pretty good. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's not what I don't know quite where it came from. It's more of a commercial film, almost like a Hollywood rom-com or dramedy or something. I don't know how you categorize it, but it could be. I've written it as a screenplay, but I might write it out as a novella. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't want to write, you know, another 45 short stories about guitars, but I would consider something like another book with like 3 novellas, maybe. Something like, so they're not overlong, maybe, you know, stories that are maybe 60 pages each,
right?
Something like that, you know. Yeah, a trio or quartet.
You know, Hollywood is dying for new material. I mean, you know, especially in like sitcoms. I mean, now you have Netflix and Hulu and all these guys they're dying for material.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I mean, the stories in Fretted Moaning have been. A number of people have said this should be a TV series.
Definitely.
And you know, here I am, as you know, in LA, Hollywood, LA. I do know a lot of people.
There you go.
I'm starting to work up to the idea. That would be marvelous, of course, if you know, from those humble origins of thinking up a couple of, you know, pages of stories about guitars, it would actually turn into something that got all the way out there. Yeah, you know, that's the world we're in. Yeah.
Is Andy Summers going to be the new Seinfeld?
I'll take it. Why not?
Why not, right?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about doing one myself. I wrote a book called Check the G's. It's about growing up in the family business, and it's comical as well.
Good.
We had a kind of
There
a
you go.
zany family, but yeah, I don't know. I'm really not into that Hollywood scene. I'm all about the music, and so
Oh
it's
no, Hollywood's a whole other ball game. Let's not even.
yeah,
No, I'm a musician, and that's my.
right.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
big crossover when you get into all that
yeah. It's very crushing.
crushing.
Yeah.
But I think it is crushing. Totally
Lives get
different, man.
lost. Yeah, lives get lost. Yeah.
What's new with the photography? Love your
Well,
work.
thank you very much. Some stuff.
Okay.
I actually have a photograph show at Leica in London. Is the next event photographic wise, and that's late October. I actually follow the James Bond exhibition in this gallery.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Actually, Daniel, plays James Bond. I use Leica cameras, and
Mhm.
Leica made me a signature camera, which came out about 2 years ago.
Right.
Very nice, and I think Daniel Craig has had one made as some sort of James Bond Leica. So I know I was surprised because when I looked it up in the gallery, I thought it was going to be big screenshots from the movie or something. It's not. It's black and white photography.
Hmm.
So I'm following Daniel Craig into that gallery, so that's happening, and I'll
That's great.
deciding whether to go to London or not because of flying and pandemic and all that. But
Right.
so that's coming out, and then I'm working on a new book with another guy in this country, so that'll be out next year too. The last one I did came out. That was with those shows in Europe, but it's published by the University of Texas Press, and it's called. Christ, what is it called? I think it's called A Certain Strangeness. Yeah,
Right.
it is. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
The book I wrote, Check the G's, that's me growing up in the family business. That was, we had photography, and they started the business back in the early 60s. So growing up, I saw all the different photographic equipment,
Right.
and we, Leica was like the camera, the top of the line, and then everybody went to Nikon.
Yeah.
I guess because Leica was too expensive, but we had Minox. Remember the little Minox cameras?
I do. Yeah, I remember.
Canon AE1, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you only use Leica? Is that?
I only use Leica. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a few other cameras. I've got some Nikons. I think I even have a whole set of Canon, but it's getting pretty. My Canon stuff is all in a bag with quite a lot of lenses.
Right.
It's pretty ancient now. I probably have to update it. No, I am a confirmed and total enthusiast for Leica. And I can tell you, this is something I expressed recently to write in a catalog that, I'm a guitarist. And so I'm used to this sort of tactility. We check out where the frets are, if the action's any good, if the strings too high. Like we're very finicky about all this stuff. I'm so used to living a life where I've got my two hands on something, and it's tactile. The difference with the Leica to me, obviously they make the best lenses. Nobody can compete with Leica lenses.
Right.
Is the tactility of the camera. It's small, tight, it's in your hand. I can operate any of the Leica cameras very easily, much more than these big, SLR cameras, with these huge lenses. These sorts
Exactly.
Not for me.
Right.
I like the subversive quality and the tactility of the Leica because I find I can be much faster. I know exactly where I'm doing. I don't have to look at the camera. I know where I am with it. So I've almost exclusively, I probably started with a Nikon in the first year or two, but I quickly transferred over to Leica. I never looked back. So I'm definitely a Leica man.
I get in the pits sometimes and cover shows, and get the press pass. And so I'll take some pictures too.
Yeah.
But, concerts are very difficult to shoot
with
the lighting.
Yeah, no, it's very hard. It's almost impossible. And I totally feel for those photographers because you're down in the pit and you're looking up. And I, as a performer, of course, I hate what they shoot because they're under and they got, you got like triple chins and you're underneath and your belly's
exactly.
It's horrible photographic situation to the point where no photographs. The standard is that you limit it to the first 3 songs, then everybody has to leave. Never liked it.
I got some good pictures. My best photos were of Ringo and his all-star band.
Yeah.
And let's see, I think Joan Jett, she was at Busch Gardens, and I got some really good pictures of her. But
Yeah.
all the other ones, the lighting was terrible. Very,
Yeah,
very
it's
bad.
very, very difficult. Very
Yeah.
difficult to do that, pull that off. Yeah.
I'll have to ask this because a lot of people are gonna. Are you still talking to Sting? And do you what's going on with anything? Is the police defunct for forever, or what's going
Well,
on?
it's not very defunct because we have so many records coming out, fantastic new material coming out. Well, not new, but repackaging, I should say. I mean, I just got yesterday, I was surprised, I opened a box. I got these 3 beautiful box sets that are both from Japan with all like everything in them. Like it's a box set of something like 7 CDs.
Terrific.
With some sort of unreleased material. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of activity and some really nice activity next spring. So, you know, we're sort of semi in touch because, you know, hate to use this word, but at this point we are what they call a brand. And we're an ongoing business. We still sell a huge amount of records. So, you know, apart from all the things each one of us indulges in, there's this thing that just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, I know.
So we're lucky.
I see Sting. He hangs out with Shaggy once in a while and does a little collaboration with him. That's pretty cool.
Well, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Andy, here's your final question. I've asked you this before. I want to ask it again.
Okay.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie,
Oh,
to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
well, it'd probably be Bach or somebody like that. Let's go big time. Greatest genius of music ever.
That makes sense.
Yeah, why not? Well, yeah, I think I would probably aim for somebody like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that would be my hope. But, I mean, there's something great.
It's funny. You and Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull are the only ones that kind of said the legendary composers. You know, everyone else would say like, you know, James Brown or the Beatles.
No, I don't feel that. No, I think all music leads up to Bach and all music comes from him afterwards. Yeah, so
I agree.
The high point. Yeah,
Definitely Prague music came from all that.
Yeah.
Andy, I want to tell you, man, you look great.
Oh, thanks.
You look fantastic.
Oh,
how do you take care of yourself? Just working hard, or?
Well, I'm not a fanatic at all. Never have been because I don't really like exercise. But I do. You know, I swim about 20 lengths every day. I walk.
Oh, good for you.
Day. You know, I went to the gym this morning.
Yeah.
You know, we're lucky. You know, I live here in LA. We're lucky right now. I mean, especially after seeing the news about New York last night. My God, I feel happy to be here, and it feels like we're in one of the better places on the planet at the moment.
Right.
So, you know, I think it's living here has been a contributor to, you know.
The only thing you guys got to worry about is the fires, man. California.
Yeah.
Gosh, terrible.
Well, yeah, they tend to be out there, farther away in the desert, or you know, very dry areas, or up north for some reason. Not too much around here, I'm happy to say.
Yeah.
And I feel so terrible. I was watching that thing about the up in Tahoe, thinking
it's really bad. Yeah.
What's that like? Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, terrible.
Andy, I know I got another call. I think after this. Right. Thank you so much, man, for being on the show. Right. It's great to see you again. All right. We'll see you. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye now.